Okay, let's see if we're actually live. I got it set up on my phone over here, so let's see if the video actually pops up. Still waiting for Alan Belk, yet here I am. All right. A little bit of a delay there. There's always a little bit of a delay. So, I got the second of the three Mcfarlane Toys digital DC Direct figures. They don't technically call these DC Multiverse, but they're DC Multiverse. It's the same type of figure. Like they've got their page punchers and they've got their Mcfarlane Toys digital, but it's all the same thing, isn't it? You're going to display them all on the same shelf, aren't you? I suppose there might be some like really anal retentive people who are like, no, 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 only the McFarlane Toys digital can go together. Only the page punchers can go together, but not me, man. That ain't never been me. So this is Blackfire, and you can see she's from the new Teen Titans, and of course we've had the Nightwing figure from the new Teen Titans, and the classic Deathstroke. While that was, I think, more technically based on his solo series from the 90s, it's still pretty much the same design. So we have been getting some love for the 80s Teen Titans characters, and that's nice. Personally, I'd like to see some more. I'd like to see, like the classic 80s design of Cyborg. I think that would be really cool. So, and they did do one for Superpowers that was like just very poorly distributed because it was an exclusive to the McFarlane Toys website, and I wasn't able to get one. I might be a little frustrated about that still, maybe a little bit. So, Toy Bonnia is here and says, "Hello, is a microphone on? Well, I hope so. Can you not hear me? It looks like I got the little green dots popping up when I talk. Can you not hear me? I can hear me. So yeah, microphone's on. So we should be good. Check your volume." So this is a character they put out a figure of her before, and technically that was a platinum edition of the previously released Starfire. That this is pretty much just an exact repaint of it. Is pretty much just like that same figure but in different colors. So they've already done a Blackfire figure that's, oddly enough, this mold has been used more for Blackfire than it has for Starfire. How about that? But that one was more based on her design from the Teen Titans cartoon series, and this one is more based on her Bronze Age comic book design. And while I think this is a great design, absolutely great design, I actually do kind of like the cartoon design a little bit better. Like, one of the things I like is that she has black hair in the cartoon and she's named Blackfire, so it just kind of makes a little more sense, I think. But I will say, just right off the bat, and I can tell this without even taking the figure out of the package, just from looking at her in the package, this particular repaint does not work as well for this costume as it did for the previous costume, just because, well, you can see she's got like, armor bits. She's got like a breastplate, and she's got these spikes over here on her armored sleeve, segmented. She's got little pauldrons, and this is just kind of and just a shirt that's repainted, like, and not only is this a repaint of that previous Starfire figure, but she also reuses a lot of parts from the Nightfall Catwoman figure. So this is basically like should be kind of a spandexy kind of outfit with some opera gloves, and but it's supposed to represent armor. So I don't know if it works very well at all. It's a nice looking figure, so I'm not denying that, but I think they could have done a better job if they'd just maybe just given her some new arms, and maybe not even like a whole torso, but maybe just like kind of a breastplate overlay. I think would have worked really well. And she's got these big earrings, and she's got a cape. She's got a chain around her neck. But, like, couldn't you at least give her a cape or something? You can see that, like, her You can see her collarbone through the outfit. So you can see like the outfit's a little more low. Doesn't quite show any cleavage, much cleavage anyway. But you can see it's a little more low cut than like it's just kind of a silver sort of turtleneck that goes up into a cowl like Jean Grey or something. So I don't know if the execution of this figure is all that great, is what I'm trying to say. And you know, they took what's a great design from the comic book, and you know, the base figure that they're repainting is a great figure. I love that Starfire figure, but you know, it doesn't quite work in the execution, I don't think. So anyway, I've been ranting about this for a while. Let's go ahead and move on to it. We got a gorgeous piece of artwork on the back by George Perez, the legendary artist of New Teen Titans back in the 80s. Did a great job on that, of course. Always does a great job. Very talented, very legendary artist. See over here, it says Blackfire, the New Teen Titans. Got the 80s New Teen Titans logo on there, which I've talked before about how, like, I first read those comics when they were coming out in the early 1980s. And actually, the first issue that I read, I think, was maybe like 3 or it was really early on. I forget what issue number it was. But Raven had been taken by Trigon back to his planet. And there's a scene where like this little girl sees Trigon and she's like, "Mommy, is that our master? He looks like a monster." And he's like greatly offended by this, so he decides he's going to kill this little girl, and he's basically like disintegrating her slowly. And Raven, her empathic powers, you know, she can't you know, tolerate this, so she winds up absorbing the you know, the evil energy or whatever into herself. And you see Raven start to shrivel up and age the same way as this little girl's doing. And then she goes back to normal. So she saves the little girl. And then Trigon says, you know, a feudal gesture. When Trigon says someone dies, they die. And then just blasts her, obliterates the little girl. She just dies right there on panel, just left as a pile of ash. And I'm like maybe like 6 years old when I'm reading this comic. That's appropriate reading material for a 6-year-old, right? You think so? I don't know. I just thought he was just a really scary villain, and I thought he was cool. So Trigon would be another figure I would like to have in this scale. I think that would be pretty sweet. So there's the figure stand, Mcfarlane Toys Digital. We know I'm not crazy about these figure stands, but hey, at least it is a figure stand, which I'm of the opinion every action figure should come with a figure stand these days. We got this scratch-off card for the NFT. I don't really bother with those. I don't really care about that. And I have the trading card over here. So we got the same piece of artwork on the back of the package. There's what the back of the trading card looks like. And it reads, Mcfarlane Toys Digital, Blackfire, real name Commander. So Starfire's real name was Coriander, and you know, but her name is Commander. You see what they did there? It's one of those things. It works a lot better when you're reading it in a comic book, because if you see the way it's spelt out, it's not spelt out like the English word commander, like one who commands. It's, you know, KOMAND''R, but Commander. Her name is Commander. Commander was the eldest child of the planet Tamaran's royal family. When the Citadel and the Dominators invaded and her parents were killed, Commander agreed to become a puppet ruler called Blackfire. Her little sister, Coriander, was taken from Tamaran in chains. Eventually, Coriander found her sanctuary on Earth, joining Red Hood and the Outlaws. I think we skipped some steps there. We skipped some steps to go to the New 52, and frankly, the New 52 is not a place that anyone ever wants to be. If you're a fan of the New 52 comics, I apologize for that. If you're somebody who worked on the New 52 comics, I don't apologize for that. You deserve it. All right, so it looks like she had a rubber tab around her waist and rubber tab double rubber tab around her waist and double rubber tab around her calves, I guess. And that was it. Didn't have any other ones. None on her arms or anything like that. So here is Blackfire out of the package. And even though, like I said, I kind of liked that she had black hair on the cartoon, and I thought that worked really well. I do like this hair color, so that's nice. And all the colors on this figure are very nice. This ankle's very tight, so I'm trying to kind of loosen her up a little bit. So when we get to the articulation portion of our review, but here you can get a closer look at what I'm talking about. So she's basically got like oftentimes we see this used as just kind of like a spandex sort of suit, but it was originally designed for that 90s version of Catwoman. So you can see where the opera gloves would be at. But still, this is mostly supposed to be like, it works as skin on Starfire because it's tight enough. And you see she's got those high Catwoman boots too, with the high heels. But as far as making it into an armored sort of outfit goes, I think it kind of drops the ball. And she would have looked. It would have helped a lot, I think, if they had have bothered to have given her a cape. Just give her like a little soft goods cape or something that you place around her neck. I mean, like, I don't think there's a way to attach a cape into this figure, like the way that you see on most figures of fabric capes that Mcfarlane does. The cape's kind of permanently attached in there. But there are some where the cape is, of a separate piece that's technically removable. Ragman comes to mind. He definitely had a cape that, you could. It's not designed really, I don't think, to be taken off, but you could take it off. You'd probably have to pull his whole head off to get it off. But I talked about how I liked the sculpt of this figure before when I talked about the Starfire figure, and I do like it here. Now, I wish I knew where that Starfire figure was. I had her. I was doing something with her as far as like taking some pictures or something, and I don't know where I put her. But if I had her to compare, you would see that Starfire has like a slightly warmer skin tone than this. This one, the skin tone is kind of more yellowish, and Starfire's is slightly more orangish. Now, I believe that the intention when George Perez was designing this character is that, or design, I should probably say designing Starfire, but by extension, Blackfire, this should apply to her as well. I believe that the Tamaranians are supposed to have golden skin, like with a metallic sort of sheen to it. But of course, comic books being what they are, it's a little more, especially back in the 1980s. They could probably do it now a lot easier with computer coloring and everything. But back in the 1980s, coloring was a bit more simple. So a character with golden skin winds up being colored kind of orange. And Blackfire here was no exception. She's technically should probably have like golden sort of skin, but it winds up being kind of like a sort of an orangey yellow. That's how it winds up. And like I said, I really like the darker red for the hair color. You can see, again, if we look at the way she's colored in the comic book, they matched that just very well. And I'd say that they probably matched the skin color really well, too, looking at it there. Probably the Starfire figure is probably supposed to look more like how modern comics are colored. And this is, again, supposed to look like how she's colored in the 80s. And, man, if you look at her right next to the drawing, you can see how well they matched up all these colors. And that's especially impressive since like most of these colors are metallic, and like I said, metallics are kind of hard to get across in comic books, but the hair color and the skin color are pretty much 1-to-1. Like you can see that, like that's the same color. So good job with Mcfarlane on matching those colors. Now I like the way that they handled the lower part of her costume. Or like, I would assume that this is supposed to be black. Like these pants are just supposed to be kind of black. But again, because of the way that comic books are usually colored, they can't just have something be black. It's got to have, something where light reflects on it, so it looks like it's three-dimensional. You can have that illusion of three dimensions. Like you can see where like the light is casting on the edges of her legs and the muscles of her abdomen and things like that. And what they did that I think replicates that pretty well is they use this kind of paint with this metallic sort of sheen to it, iridescent, you might say. And it's this kind of bluish purplish color. And again, going back to the way the highlights are colored here, as often you would see in a comic book, they've got this kind of dark blue. And how they make this dark blue in comic books is it's cyan, which is the main color of blue that you use in a comic book, with Benday dots, I think is what they call them, over them in the magenta. Magenta is the four base colors they use in comic book printing. I believe it's still the four base colors used in most printing today. Is you have black, yellow, magenta, and cyan. So there's not a true red ink in comic books. What they do is they print yellow and magenta, and that makes red. How about that? So to get a darker blue, oftentimes what they'll do is they'll put the magenta dots over the cyan blue. Cyan blue is kind of like your basic comic book blue. If you think about Superman's costume is usually colored in that very bright sort of almost turquoise kind of blue. That's how that works. So there's some trivia for printing and science and all that kind of stuff, and light refraction and all that kind of fun stuff. But yeah, so they gave her these pants, for lack of a better term, the bodysuit underneath the quote unquote breastplate and armor. It's got this kind of sparkly, sort of purpley, sort of bluish. It's a very cool color, and I like it a lot. It looks really cool. So even though, like, I don't think they did the best job that they could have of replicating the Bronze Age Blackfire, like, she's still a really cool looking figure. And I think, like, as far as, like, if you had to do it as a straight repaint of Starfire, like I guess, whatever. But it would have been nice to see them just make some additional parts that could have really made her truly look like the comic book version. And like I said, they could have given her a fabric cape without having to make any sort of molding or whatever. So I don't know why they didn't just do that. Maybe because she's got that sort of pattern on the trim of the cape. Maybe they figured that would be like a little too much work or money or time or whatever. She's a nice looking figure, but it's not as good of a representation of this character as I feel like it could have been. Now, that having been said, I'm still glad I have this figure, because now I have like any kind of representation of this figure. But if I could have had the platinum edition of the previous Starfire figure, I think that's a better Blackfire figure, if I'm being really honest. And like, even if I was somebody who preferred the comic book design over the cartoon design, and most of the time I do like the comic book designs best, this is a rare exception. Even if I was hardcore, like, the comic book design is way better than the cartoon design, I still would be disappointed in the execution, and I think I'd still think the more cartoony Blackfire figure was the superior of the two. Now, she does come with two accessories, which I've neglected to talk about thus far, which are these two little energy bursts, and these will fit on her hands. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. And we can see what those look like. And you might remember that the Starfire figure came with these same sort of energy bursts, only they were in green rather than this sort of pinkish, purplish color. Almost looks like she's got cotton candy wrapped around her hands, doesn't it? Excuse me. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about the articulation real quick. Blackfire can look up about that far, look down about that far, tilt her head kind of quizzically from side to side, rotate the head all the way around, but be careful of that hair because it's going to be bumping into her arms and stuff. Speaking of her arms, those rotate all the way around as well, and they've got that sort of Mcfarlane butterfly joint there, so you got some wiggle room there. She's got a bicep swivel. Remember where I talked about those opera gloves? There's what that is. That rotates all the way around. She's got double jointed elbows, excellent range of articulation at the elbows. That's what you get there. She, of course, has the awesome Mcfarlane wrist articulation. So the wrist rotates all the way around where the wrist meets the forearm, and it rotates all the way around where the wrist meets the hand. And then it's got a hinge in it, so you can pretty much move this hand around any which way you want to get into whatever kind of position you want. She doesn't come with any extra hands or anything, but, you know, she's not really going to hold any accessories, so it's not that big a deal that she's just got regular fist hands. She's got the cool Mcfarlane torso articulation, which can bend from side to side, thus far, bend back and forth like that. And then she's got more articulation at the waist, and both of those rotate all the way around. So you can get a lot of good dramatic poses out of this figure. Blackfire can kick up about that far. That's part of that Catwoman DNA that's still in her. Like, that's a Catwoman kick right there. But be careful because, like I said, this is paint on here, and you don't want it to flake too much. So I wouldn't leave it in that pose too long. And in fact, I wouldn't encourage getting too dramatic with the posing as far as that goes, just because you don't want that paint to flake. Like 90% to me about the visual appeal of this figure is the paint they used on the lower half. So I definitely don't want that to get messed up. You know what I mean? So she doesn't seem to have a whole lot of rotation here. That seems for some Mcfarlane figures can move a little bit from side to side. And hey, it looks like there is a little bit of some kind of schmutz on her thigh, on her upper thigh. Looked like something got on there, but I was able to get it off, so that's good. Okay, so we got double jointed knees. That's about the range of motion you get at the knees. And then she's got the cool Mcfarlane ankle articulation. There's no boot cut on this figure, but she doesn't really need one because, again, she's got that Mcfarlane ankle articulation, although this one seems a little stiff. But you can see her ankle points up about that far, and then it points down about that far, and then the ankle rotates all the way around where the ankle meets the shin and where the ankle meets the foot. And then she's got toe articulation just to show off. And man, that looks uncomfortable, doesn't it? So pretty good figure. I think it could have been better, if I'm being honest about it. I think there are definitely things about this figure that could have been done, little tweaks that I think would have made her a lot better. But I kind of suspect that this was a figure that they thought to do because they could do it on a budget. But unfortunately, I think, all due respect to the people at Mcfarlane, I think you kind of miscalculated on this one. I think she needed those armor bits a little bit more than you probably thought she needed those armor bits. Still, I think this is a pretty decent figure of a pretty cool character. One of the better Teen Titans villains. She would certainly fit into anybody's top 10, I would think, of Teen Titans villains. So, she's not the greatest. Like, I think probably Deathstroke would be like the number one. I mean, he certainly seems like he's the most popular. He had his own comic book series. Name me another Teen Titans comic book villain that had their own comic book series. Yeah, you're having a hard time with it. But I mean, they had a lot of good villains in that run. I already talked about how much I love Trigon. You had Deathstroke. You had Baron Blood. You had Hive. Like a lot of great villains. I feel like I'm leaving somebody really important out that I really like. And I'm drawing a blank on it now, but I had somebody on the tip of my tongue, somebody else besides that. If you go back to like the Silver Age, you got guys like Mad Mod. It's like Mad Mod was pretty much the best villain of the Silver Age. But once they did once Marv Wolfman and George Perez were on there, that was when they started to have like the really cool villains like Trigon and Deathstroke and Blackfire. Cheshire. That's who I was thinking of. Cheshire's another one. I really like Cheshire. So but yeah. So we're gonna end this episode now because I think I've said everything I need to say about this figure. Honestly, like I talked about during the Batgirl episode, I really just wanted to get that Red Tornado figure. And I think I would have liked to have had this figure, but she was also one that wasn't like super high priority for me. So I'm glad that like I did wind up being forced to buy all three of them because I think I got a really good episode out of the Batgirl figure, even though the Batgirl figure isn't that great. She's okay, I guess, for what she is. But Blackfire is a better figure than Batgirl, I think. Even though, again, they're both just fairly simple repaints. And I think I would have wanted to have Blackfire eventually. But like I said, the main figure that I wanted out of these three was Red Tornado. So he's going to be the next figure that I open. So I don't think it's I don't think it's beyond the realm of. I think it's pretty safe to say at this point that Red Tornado is going to be my favorite of these three figures. But I think I liked Blackfire after I opened her up and got her in hand. I think I wound up liking this figure a little bit more than I thought I was going to, and I didn't think I was going to dislike this figure, but but still at the same time, I think they could have done a better job with her, and I don't know. I highly doubt that we'll get to see a proper Bronze Age Blackfire out of Mcfarlane at this point. So this might be the closest that we get. So I'm still going to make her a cape, though, because I feel like she should have a cape. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about Blackfire and what's your favorite design for this character. If you made it this far into the video, let me know that you made it this far into the video and leave me a comment and tell me what your favorite design for Blackfire is. And any of your thoughts that you have on this character. And next episode, we'll be back with the third figure in this wave, which is Red Tornado, which is the one I was most excited about opening. And then I don't know what I'm going to do after that. So I'll tell you this right now. I've got at this point, I've got a ton of Masters of the Universe 2000X cartoon collection figures. If it hasn't been delivered by now, I figure it'll be here soon. I'm expecting a package with Stratos and Skeletor from that line. And recently, because they had them for really cheap on Amazon, I was able to get Man-at-Arms and Mossman and Triclops. And then I still have, from my last Big Bad Toy Store order, I still got Prince Adam and Zodak with a K. And I've got Clawful. And I'm going to do like a whole 3-part series on Clawful, because not only do I have that 2000X cartoon collection version, but I have the Masterverse version of Clawful, and I have the vintage Origins version of Clawful, the one that's actually designed to look like the toy. So got a lot of Clawful coming up, so that should be fun. The main reason I bought the 2000X Clawful is because I had the Origins one in that order because he was only like $10, and then that got me thinking about the Masterverse versions. Then I got that one, and I'm like, well, if I'm already opening up these two, I might as well get the 2000X one so I can open that up, and so I'll have all those. I've got there's a big stack of stuff right here, and it's let's see, the Flash and Titano. And then we've got the 2025 movie version of Lex Luthor. And then Christopher Reeve, Superman. Tom Hardy as Bane. Heath Ledger as the Joker from the Dark Knight trilogy. They re-released those, so I have those finally. and then Red Tornado, which is going to be my next episode. And I've got a whole lot more DC stuff to open too. Besides that, I've still got Dr. Midnight, and I still got a few other really cool DC figures I got to get around to opening up. I've got the Atom Smasher Spectre 2-pack, and I've got Guardian, and I've just got a ton of stuff I got to open up. We're really behind, but I'm gonna go ahead and go take the thumbnail for this episode. So thanks for watching. Please do make sure you like and subscribe. YouTube likes it when I say like and subscribe, so I like to say like and subscribe. Leave a comment. I like it when you leave comments. I already told you what to leave a comment about if you made it all the way through this episode. And that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.